Hello Space Fairies, let's talk about PCOS. Again, because it's been a while, and who doesn't love a good sequel? For those of you who don't know or are just joining us, I have a condition called PCOS, or Polycystic Ovary Syndrome, or Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. I made a video about it before, a while back, but some of the info and terminology that I used in that video is now outdated, and I very recently decided to get re-diagnosed, so it's relevant and back in my life again, and I thought I'd share that journey with you. Quick background, PCOS is a relatively common condition amongst people with ovaries, which can complicate the body's natural production of various hormones. And this can result in excessive facial hair growth, or in some cases, on the flip side, alopecia. Also weight gain, disrupted menstrual cycle, lack of energy, acne, and lots of other symptoms which vary massively from person to person, which can make PCOS quite a difficult condition to treat. My symptoms include weight gain and excessive hair growth. So I get very, very dark facial hair, very dark arm hair, and weight loss is very, very difficult for me. When I made my last video, years and years ago, I wasn't being completely honest. I was being honest about my condition, I wasn't being honest about how I was treating it. Because in truth, since moving to London like 6 years ago, I haven't really been treating it at all. I treated it in the past, and then as soon as I moved to London, I kind of just stopped. I've been handling the symptoms, so I've still been eating well, exercising regularly, and as you can see, I remove facial and arm hair on the regular. But from a medical standpoint, I could have been doing a bit more. The thing about moving away though, especially moving away from home and parents, is that you suddenly need a new everything. New council tax, new gas, new electricity, and that includes new GP or new doctor. And since I was about 14, right up until I graduated uni, so when I was 21, I kind of been just cycling through GPs and specialists and endocrinologists and gynecologists and blood tests and ultrasounds and all these kind of scans and things. Which meant when I moved to London, I knew I'd have to start that from scratch all over again. And here's the thing, when you've had the same illness for 7 odd years by this point, you kind of get sick of having to re-explain it. And by that point, I was sick of it. I was sick of hearing the same thing over and over again. I was sick of the same tests over and over again. I was sick of being told, oh, it's not a big deal, or people don't even look at your facial hair, or you can correct your PCOS just by eating the right kinds of grains, like, I don't know. I was getting just really exhausted with having to explain that I knew what was wrong with me and I knew what did and did not work for me specifically, because PCOS varies from person to person. So I just didn't get a new GP. That's it, I just never found a new doctor. That is until now. As you might have seen from Little Moments last September, I moved house. I'm now in a new area with new flatmates. I say new, a year ago. And I thought, well, now's as good as time as any to actually finally get back on track treating my PCOS and getting metformin. So the thing about metformin. Metformin is a drug typically prescribed for diabetes as it manages blood sugar levels amongst other things. But as the case used to be, it was also prescribed for PCOS. So from the ages of 14 to 21, I was on metformin. I went to the doctor for my first appointment, like, hi, yeah, I'm Chloe, I have PCOS. I would like a repeat prescription of metformin, the same drug that I used to be on for years and years. If that's cool, then cool. To which my doctor replies, oh, metformin is now no longer licensed to be prescribed for PCOS. So that's a new development. So if you've watched my old video and tried to get a prescription of metformin, you may have hit this roadblock, and now I have. Whoops. If you have PCOS and request metformin but haven't been on it before, your doctor may decline to prescribe it to you because of licensing. So when I was with my doctor, I was like, but I was on this drug for 6 years and it worked really, really well. Like, it really did work. So he said, well, if we run some tests and a specialist can confirm you have PCOS, like it wasn't written on my file or anything, but whatever, then maybe we can prescribe it. Or, if you'd like a solution today, we can prescribe you the pill. It is often prescribed as kind of like a first line of defense for PCOS, which honestly is a valid thing to do because it can help regulate your menstrual cycle, which in turn decreases the risk of uterine cancer. You know, always nice. So if what you're worried about most, or if what affects you most is things like irregular menstrual cycle, or you're worried about fertility issues, then yeah, the pill can help with that. So it is a good shout for some people, not for me, and it is frustrating that that's kind of what the treatment for PCOS defaults to now. And I get that it's very little understood. I get that research is ongoing. I get that no one really understands how it works or why it's so different from person to person. And I get that sometimes that makes it very difficult to treat in a way that is helpful. But I just like to be trusted that I have gone through this rigmarole before. And then if I'm prescribed the pill, it just feels like they haven't really heard my specific concerns. So I tell my doctor, quite politely, I'd like to add, I know I've been quite irate for most of this video. I tell him politely, I would not like to be on the pill, thank you very much. I've tried it, it makes me nauseous, it makes me bigger, it makes me hairier, no thank you. So he tells me the alternative is to just ignore my previous medical record and kind of just diagnose from the ground up. So basically exactly what I've been trying to avoid for the past 6 years, but I think weirdly it felt like progress, because it was just like, okay, you're willing to listen to me and I just have to go through some tests and show you that yes, I do have this thing, here's what it does to me, help. The blood tests I was able to do the same day. I'm very lucky that the clinic I go to is actually quite all-encompassing. And yeah, I'm very sorry, but the blood tests are the kind of needle in the arm, they take your blood, but then you get a cookie and maybe a cup of tea, or in my case, just a voucher for a free croissant. So I had my blood test. I actually don't mind needles so much. I didn't even look at it. And also the nurse was really quick. Like I was in and out in 15 seconds with like my croissant coupon. Went to the bakery, got my free thing, and then I was off to work. The scans were trickier because good as my clinic is, it doesn't kind of have on-site ultrasound equipment or specialists or what's the word, sonographers, I guess. So for that, I had to phone into a specialist clinic in like Islington. Hello, I hate phones, please book me in for an ultrasound. And they were like, sure, how's tomorrow? I'm like, not good, I'm in New Zealand. And they were like, okay, what about a month from now? So a month later I went in for my ultrasound. And I don't know if you've ever had an ultrasound, this would be my third. It's very strange and awkward, especially if you're not specifically pregnant, because you feel like you should be, or you're letting the team know, like, sorry you have to do this and there's no baby. So you lie down, like, shirt pulled up, whatever, and then they put this really cold, like really actually cold, like gel over your stomach, and then they kind of just prod you with this sensor. So it feels really weird. And then there's like this screen of information and a picture that looks like it was shot on a toaster. And yeah, it's a bit uncomfortable, but you just have to trust that these are professionals and they don't really care who you are or what your stomach looks like. They're just there to do their job and they've seen every stomach in the world, so what does it matter anyway? So yeah, ultrasounds are weird. But that's happened, I've done that now. Cut to about 2 weeks ago, which was 2 weeks later from when I had the ultrasound, and my results are in. So I go back to my GP and he's like, yeah, actually, you know what? It really does look like you have PCOS. He then goes on to say, and it was like a really quite hilariously short appointment. I was in and out in like 2 minutes. But he says to me, I've consulted some other GPs at this practice and they've all said, yeah, you can prescribe metformin, that's fine. You probably should have done that from the get-go. So I was in and out with my new prescription for my metformin, and here it is. It is a 1-month prescription, and then I have to go back to my GP in a month's time, and he will either say, yes, that is working, we will keep giving you this, or he will say, that is no longer working for you, let's find a new solution together. Either way, I feel like I'm kind of moving forward with this, and that's so nice. So that's where I'm at now. I had to start all over again. I had to re-explain myself. I even had to make a phone call. But I'm glad I did it. And I'm glad to be back on a medication that I know kind of works for me personally. So if you have PCOS, or you think you have PCOS and have any concerns about getting diagnosed or finding the right treatment, if you can, do try and take the time to speak to a doctor or a GP or a specialist. And actually we're out there too. Like people with PCOS, we're out there. And there's a lot of us. And if you have PCOS, we know what you're going through, and you're not alone. You absolutely are not. You might have to start from scratch, in some cases twice, but like I said, the help is out there, and so are we. I hope that was in some way helpful.